To this day, like I go back to San Francisco and I still love it, but I'm always uneasy because of that time I spent up there.
That's interesting.
It was such a fucked up time. It was so, I learned a lot. You know, I learned what the other side lived like.
Yeah.
I never knew. I met Cuban refugees that had come in '79. And here I thought I had it rough. I lost my mom, and I had met these guys that were like engineers in Cuba, living great. And now they were on the street hustling fucking food stamps.
Oh, yeah.
And I was hustling food stamps with them. It was a complete different, wow. It was fucking crazy.
I didn't know you were a food stamp hustler.
At that time, there was a Chinaville or Japan City or something up there. Mm-hmm. And I would take food stamps, traveler's checks, stolen credit cards. I was like the fence because they didn't know how to speak English. Uh-huh. So I would get tons of fucking traveler's checks every day, and I would pay like 30 cents on the dollar, and I would take them to Japanville and buy a sweater, and then the change was my cash. They were,
How'd you meet those people?
I was I was called an under the scale. I was under the $50 limit. What a lot of people in this great country don't remember is the reason why we have the bad economy isn't because there's no jobs. It's because the street hustle was removed. See, in Gary and mine's day, a guy could be broke, but you could front 100 Quaaludes for $200 and sell them, make 400, and you got 200 a day. You do that 3 times a week. That's fucking $3,000 a month, my friend. And you didn't do dick but go to a bar and eat the Quaaludes and drink the drinks you were going to eat and drink anyway. You just provided a fucking service. And you would collect unemployment, and you would do 1,000 things that things weren't bad. You could always make a move. And one of the moves we used to make in the old times were they used to have credit cards. They still have credit cards. But it was under the 50 limit. In those days, there was no fucking computers. So when you spent money, they put them in a little thing and went and gave you the card back. Mm-hmm. If it was over $50, they made the call.
Right.
But it was under $50, it was just taken. So we would buy stuff for $44, sell it for $20, and get at least 50% of your dollar. This was just a street thing that you did every fucking day.
But how did you actually meet them? Like Asian people that wanted to sell food stamps. Really?
I went down there looking for weed and started talking and went back the next day. And the next thing you know, they're like, hey, man, you speak English. Can you help us out? I met this guy who met this guy. And the next thing you know, I'm living at the Virginian Hotel, where it's a thing now where people come from all over the country and stay there. Hostel. It's a hostel now. There was coffee runs. There was coffee runs in the middle of the street where it was a coffee shop where they served you topless. That's why Starbucks could suck my dick. It was open 24 hours, and the deal was that you could go there and drink coffee coked up in the morning, and a topless fucking chick would come up to you. They weren't 10s, they were 5s. When you're coked up and drinking coffee at that point, who gives a Frenchman's fuck? You know what I'm saying? You need some titties to get you going.
That is hilarious.
There was a fucking porn shop 50 feet away called Coffee Ron's, and he bought everything. This was like a reality show. He had no teeth. He was 6'5". He played for the Niners, and this is what he did. You know, he was hustling people. So you could go in there with a microphone, a guitar, a boot, a sneaker. He'd give you $2 to get. You could even go in there and go, Ron, do me a favor, give me a $50 to get the day started. You had to go back at the end of the day and give him $75. So you had to make fucking $75 by the end of the day. So if I knew I was meeting you and we were doing something, traveler's checks at 10, I would go to him, give me a $50 to get the fucking day started. This guy was the main street guy of everybody in that area. He wild. Was the fence. And I remember leaving San Francisco with the cops looking for me and having to go back a month later to pay him vig on jewelry that he had that I had given him from all the different street things. And I would dress up in a suit in the mornings and go to hotels, and I had the bus boys wired, the bellman, and they would tell me who checked in, who didn't check in, how long they were gone for, if they put stuff in the safe. It was a different fucking world.
Wow.
I'll never forget San Francisco because of that. Whenever I do play Cobb's or one of those clubs now, at one point I take a cab and I walk those streets as a reminder.
That's good.
Just to fucking remind me of what I went through and what I learned. I used to go to
I know what you're talking about.
Best fucking place ever. Because you could go in there with 15 and eat the whole day. Original Joe's. When it was in the fucking Tenderloin, the fucking waiters were all union. Right, they moved it because they burnt it. Jewish lightning strikes again, ba-boom. The owner got sick. The property values went up. They burnt that motherfucker to a crisp. Jewish lightning, look out. Jewish lightning alert.
I'm sorry.
The Jews are back. The Jews are back.
Joey.
It's the truth. They're the best at arson.
Joey.
They tried to burn that place 3 times in 20 years. The Italians tried to do it first.
Just be a little smooth.
They couldn't do it, and now they had to call the Jews. They had to call the henchmen of the match. So
henchmen of the match.
when it comes to lighting the match, a Jew lights it like nobody else does.
No.
Yeah, Doug, we're throwing fucking heat here. It's a week before Memorial Day. What do you want to talk about? Fucking camping gear? I ain't got that type of time. I got 20 years left. My wife got problems. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
So what are you going to do? Yeah, these are the good old days, San Francisco. So it's funny. Whenever I go up there, and Original Joe's, I used to go in there and get spaghetti and meatballs. And in those days, it was a dish you couldn't even imagine. And the couches had red leather to them, and the waiters were professional. And you thought that at any time Dean Martin would go in. Yeah. Like any time you could expect Sinatra. It was dark, and it was just an amazing time for me. There was a movie theater. It was 2 movies for $3. Clint Eastwood, people in there beating themselves up. And it was 6 months. Finally, I had to leave because the cops were looking for me. But things happen, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm sure everyone has a story where when they go past a certain part of town or another city that you just get that creepy feeling, from the past. Like for me, it's West Hollywood on 3 corners as I drive my children by. And they're in the back. I'm like, ugh.
Jesus, I hope the guy don't come up.
That was the time I threw up on the Coke dealer's shoes.
What made West Hollywood kind of a weird nightmare or positive?
There used to be at the Comedy Store this guy that gave everyone the Coke, and there was a lot of Coke going through the Comedy Store because it was in the time of Kinnison. I can't remember his name, but he was this real slick dude, and he had like a like hair kind of like yours, Gary, where it's all pushed back in a pompadour, but he had like a goatee, and he was really scrawny, and he used to hang around Kinnison, and I don't know how it ended up, but I ended up at a party at his house. And I had done a little bit. That's not my thing, but I did a little bit. But I was drinking, and like he thought it was going to happen, and I was one of those. Well, it's easier if I just let it happen than fight it off. You know what I mean? And I totally threw up all over his like crotch and his shoes, and it was like God saved me, reached down and saved me. But now when I drive my kids by, I'm like,
Is that the memory?
That's my memory.
That's the memory of West Hollywood throwing up on a guy's crotch?
Yeah.
Wow, that's bad.
Yeah. That's really bad, yeah.
That's like a freaky memory.
I know. I'm lucky to be free and white in America.
But he's never forgotten that.
I'm sure.
Every time
you don't forget that. You don't forget
every
that.
Every time that guy buttons his pants, he's like, fucking Felicia threw up on my fucking pants.
Today's guest is a musician. I know a lot of people have been emailing saying more music episodes, and here we go. I can't wait to hear you and Joey talk about music. Please give a very, very warm welcome for Mr. Gary Myrick.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Like 3 hands fucking clapping.
That's okay. Randy didn't clap.
I know.
We have an audience today.
Thank you for coming in today, Gary.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
You're originally from Texas?
I am.
It spews out of you in a fucking different...
Really?
In a musical, Austin-ish kind of way. You know what I'm saying? But
a lot of people think it doesn't show anymore, but I think it does.
No, it's in your soul.
Oh, for sure it shows. It shows in your truck. Your truck, it's like, oh, Austin dude.
That's a Texas truck.
Uh-huh.
And you're originally from?
Dallas.
No shit.
Yeah. Born and raised in Dallas, 5th generation Texas. So my family has been in Texas a long time, and they're all still back there. And then I moved to California in the 70s.
Tell us a little bit about how you got into music and where you started. I mean, I know it was Texas, but then how did you come to California? Was it work related?
It was work related. I had moved down from, I was working in Dallas, writing all my own music at a really early age. I think my first original band was at age 18. And so I'd been kind of working, trying to create something original for a while and learning how to write songs as I had been growing up and playing guitar. And then I had a band in Dallas in those early days that was completely, doing all original material, which was kind of unheard of at the time. And be able to get booked, to book a gig when you're just doing stuff that nobody has ever heard before. But we were doing really well, and we were having really large attendance, and it grew and grew and grew in a very short amount of time. And we were playing a place downtown called The Cellar, which is also kind of a historic memory. It was early well, it was in the 60s. I played there in the early 70s, and that was a place where all the bouncers had guns on them all the time, and they served fake booze, and people were getting drunk somehow, and it was just a crazy cowboy, lost their fucking minds. They had a runway in front of the band, and girls from the audience are getting up and dancing, like beautiful girls, pretty girls are dancing. They're not strippers, and every once in a while a stripper would get up, but it was the audience is actually on, kind of getting up on the stage, but it's only the women, of course, and there's just a bunch of dudes laying around and sitting in chairs. So that was my early start in Texas. I mean, guns actually would go off. I had a bullet fly over my head. They weren't shooting at me.
So it was like Roadhouse.
It's a Roadhouse, but downtown Dallas, downtown Lee Harvey Oswald, Jack Ruby Dallas. You know what I mean? But in the early 70s. See what I mean? Old school, crazy. You know, it doesn't make sense that this even exists. You know, because it's just full of the craziest characters, and it was run by an old rockabilly dude from the 1950s who actually had a big career. His name was Johnny Carroll. So anyhow, I was around all this environment, and it was really an incredible learning experience for me as a guitar player and as a musician. So then I moved down to Austin after I was asked to join a band. There was a band down there called Cracker Jack, and this was the biggest selling band of that time in Austin, and it was an all original band doing like blues rock, and they wanted me to replace Stevie Ray Vaughan. Stevie Ray Vaughan was playing guitar for them. I don't know why they fired him, but they were going to fire him, and they came up to see me, the Uncle John Turner, who was the drummer for the original Johnny Winter trio, and he started this band in Austin after Johnny Winter, and Stevie Ray was playing guitar for him, and Tommy Shannon, who was later on in Double Trouble with Stevie. Anyhow, so this band was just rocking along. They were making what we all considered big money at the time, doing original blues rock. And they came into the cellar in Dallas, or Uncle John did, who was the band leader, basic creator of that band, and then asked me to come down to Austin. And I knew their reputation. I knew exactly what they were doing, and that they were making good money. And I said, hell yeah, let's do it. It's time for me to change. So I went down to Austin and started playing with them for 2 years. And then I said, okay, I'm never going to really get anywhere here except I'm going to play clubs and make some good money. But I got to get out where it's happening. Either I got to go to New York or London or Los Angeles. And we're talking about the early 70s, so things are pretty fucked up in the music business. So everybody doesn't know what it's 75, so they don't know where everything's going. And then all of a sudden, punk starts happening in England in 76 or 77, and then stuff starts changing, and New York starts changing, and then there's terms like new wave being thrown around and stuff like that. So I was in California during that time. So that's what got me to California. I hope that's not too long-winded.
No, it's interesting.
Now, what happened to Stevie Ray Vaughan at this time?
So Stevie, I think he was having some drinking and drugs problems. I'm not positive about that, but I and Stevie and I were, it wasn't a competition thing or anything. It was just, we were broing, and I knew his brother Jimmy Vaughan, and so it was all a brotherly thing. And I didn't know why he got fired, really. I just heard things weren't right. And, in retrospect, of course, it was many years later that he started being very successful. And it's wild when somebody fires Stevie, and he was a very sweet guy, too. But I had a great time and went down there and played. And, man, it was just out of control. Austin, Texas, in 1972 was amazing.
I bet it was just
that's
insanity,
the Austin that Austin is trying to live up to now. The legend of Austin really was the 60s and 70s in Austin, Texas. Because it was small. Now it's overcrowded. It was small, hippie, kind of cutting-edge hippie college town. And everybody was mellow, and you could just be yourself and do your thing. And there was a big music scene going on at the time. Everybody knew each other. It was really rocking.
But I read the Keith Richards book. I listen to you now, and just from what I've picked up going to the Houston Laugh Stop, and they used to have a hotel around the corner from the Houston Laugh Stop, and they had this little dingy bar that just smelt the fucking beer. And when you walked in there, they just had pictures upon pictures of everybody who had stayed at that hotel. No celebrities except musicians. I mean, fucking everybody played in Houston. Now you think to yourself, why would... I understand Willie Nelson playing in Houston.
Yeah.
But why would Led Zeppelin be here as this, or Mick Jagger, or all these people? When you read, it was like, what a lot of people don't know is the South was the real fucking conduit to everything that exploded.
Totally.
It was the conduit that everybody, New York and LA. It was the fucking conduit that put it together. When you walk through the streets of Austin, downtown, I'll tell you what, I know something happened there. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's like walking in Harlem on 125th Street. You know somebody got shot there. That's the same thing when I walk in Austin. Velveeta Room, the bar up the corner. You know something went there. I wish somebody would write a book or sit me down and go, you see that motherfucker right there? One night I went in there, and I seen Jimmy Page up there with 3 black guys fucking jamming. And then from there, he took us down to the corner and teamed up with fucking Muddy Waters, and they shot heroin and killed a hooker. I know that happened.
Yeah.
I know that happened. I just need somebody to fucking get my dick hard. But that's what you get. And for people who haven't been, when you walk through some places in Nashville, you know something happened.
That's right.
Something happened here.
I've never been to Nashville.
Jesus Christ, we're going.
Nashville's
Something
a great
happened
town.
in Nashville.
Nashville's a great
when
town.
When you walk through, what part of Tennessee where the big college is at? There's one place, not the, where I got thrown out of the hotel. The chick sucked my dick, and the husband came in and wanted the $40.
Not Memphis.
No, not Memphis, but Knoxville.
Knoxville.
Knoxville has this little music fucking vibe to it.
I believe it.
That you're like, you know what? Yeah, I could see it went cracking here. So.
Well, you know what I've talked to a lot of my friends about, musician friends and artist friends, is that there's so much. I mean, I've always been very grateful that I grew up in Texas musically, because I got to be around certain things. It's in the food, it's in the air. It's the same thing in certain parts of like New Orleans. It's just kind of dripping off the architecture. It's there, and so it's not just learning music. It's also being in an environment that has some kind of blood and guts history that is, and some really historic, like old blues and stuff that came out of this of like Southern culture in Austin and Texas really in general. That kind of stuff really moves me.
Now, when you came to California, how long did it take you to find a new band?
Well, coming to California, I knew no one, and I had no idea really what I was doing. I just knew that I needed to get out in the big ponds somehow. And I thought, well, California's going to be warm. If I go to New York, I'm going to freeze. And London seems too far, even though that sounds cool. But so I came to California, and about, I'd say in less than a year, I also had some musicians coming out from Texas to kind of relocate also. So I wasn't completely alone in my quest, and but it was a weird time in the music business. There was all these bands that I didn't fit the mold at the time, and so it was just kind of a weird changeover. The changing of the guards was getting ready to happen, with punk and new wave, and so some of the older bands that were like on the radio started maybe not being on the radio, and then new stuff was that's kind of where I came in. Even though I'd been doing as good a music, I think, or better 10 years earlier. It was just like kind of a movement started, and I seemed to be part of it.
75 was very confusing because you're right. Nobody knew what was going to happen with Led Zeppelin. The Sun died.
Yeah.
Fucking Deep Purple was done. Elton John was tipping off. Philadelphia Freedom and all that shit was tipping off. The Who, Keith Moon had died after Who Are You?
Yep.
I mean, it was really like there was a single void there. It started like 75.
It was a weird void.
It was a very, I think Ray released Physical Graffiti, Led Zeppelin. Ozzy didn't know what the fuck he was doing. A lot of
and everybody
people,
was worried about, everybody was saying stuff like, corporate rock sucks.
Yeah.
Corporate. Everybody went, yeah, this corporate. We don't want corporate. We want the real thing again. You
in
know?
75, what was fucked up was everybody still had that dream that the Beatles were going to get back together.
Yeah, that's right.
Like everyone was like, we don't give a fuck about nothing. The Beatles are going to get
They're
going to
get back together.
John's been talking to Ringo, and it's going to happen.
Yeah, John's hanging with Ringo.
You know, it's amazing how 20 years that finally fucking died. Like
Yeah.
that died. And even after Lennon died, people were still like, dog,
They
they're
might
gonna get back together. They're going to replace him with Clapton.
And then they remember when they released
they
the
released
song
something, yeah.
that John was part of John Lennon's demo and all that stuff.
Yeah,
that
it
was
kinda
actually,
weird. But after that,
it did sound great.
people don't remember what was going on at that time. You know, all those big bands were in limbo.
They were in limbo.
Off the charts, and they were in limbo.
And everybody was kind of in limbo.
Yeah,
Like
Aerosmith was on heroin, right? Everybody
weren't-
was a
yeah.
fucking dilemma. And then all of a sudden, it was new wave coming up. The women started coming up. Pat Benatar came on the scene.
That's right,
and
Blondie.
The Cars and Blondie. And not to mention, it was the beginnings of, I said a hip, hop, a hibbit to the...
That's right.
You know, it was the beginning of that. So the
That's
country
right.
was going through this fucking explosion, and everybody was waiting.
Yeah.
Because all I remember at that time being 15 and going, it don't matter. Because Led Zeppelin's making a comeback. It don't matter. They're coming back.
Yeah.
They're coming back. So fucking just sit tight. Just keep playing the Physical Graffiti, and it's going to all be all right.
And then when...
Skynyrd was on fucking fire. Skynyrd was on fire.
I'll bet. I
They
didn't
were on fire, those motherfuckers. People didn't know what to do with them.
see, but a lot of times I'd try to rebel against my own Texasness.
Right, I get it.
So I'd be going, oh fuck though, that redneck bullshit, you know. So I would, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I would try to rebel somehow against some of my southern things. You know what I mean? Because I'd go, oh fuck that, I wanna hang with.
Stuff, yeah.
I want it to be heavy, but I want to hang with guys that get it. You know, not this.
So what?
You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm with
Do
you.
you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying
I
on
hear
that?
you. No.
What-
That was just a weird but that's just me being a Texan going, oh, I don't want to. You know, I didn't want to hear country really, or any, you know, it was kind
It was
of
too close to home.
yeah, it was too
been
close.
Been there, done that.
I already
Been there, done
I
that.
lived it.
Yeah, no,
you
been
know,
there, done that.
I had rednecks throwing, you know, bottles at my head, you know, in Dallas, Texas, because I had long hair and stuff, you know. So, you know, people chasing you down the street want to, you know, kill you and shit like that. But they never
amazing.
did though, so they can kiss my ass.
When you moved to LA and you said you wanted to, you were rebelling against your past. What?
A little bit.
Yeah. So what kind of music did you start getting into? Start doing? What would you call that now?
Well, one of the things that I really liked at an early age was, I mean, I you know, grew up in an era where some of the British invasion had started. Of course, I was a little kid, but you know, so there was a lot of some of the coolest stuff I thought was coming out of England, and still is to this day. You know, there's always was cool stuff coming from England, and you know, so I had heard, you know, I mean, I loved Led Zeppelin, and I also thought David Bowie was doing some really wild stuff, you know, but with heavy guitar with Mick Ronson on, playing some great guitar, and Mott the Hoople, and some of that stuff I thought was, wow, this is tough. You know, Mark Bolan, you know, so there was this kind of a little bit of a glam thing flying around, and that I was kind of, and even in Texas I was kind of grooving on all that. So I was, you know, I was liking songs, but that was tough
So you
and
were
heavy.
the little glam Texas musician.
Yeah, which I think I still might be touched by that in my head. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So when you came to LA, that's when you started your band, Gary Myrick and the Figures.
After a while,
Yeah.
it took a while to get that going. It took, I think, about 2 years to get that started. Same things, like 2 years now seems like nothing, But then, that was a lot of time.
I was just thinking when you said that, 2 years, you think, and looking back, wow, it took me 2 years to do that. That doesn't seem so long. But when you're in the middle of it, you're like, fuck, 2 years.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get something going.
Yeah.
And then we just started playing gigs live. That's all we did. We were able to book gigs. We had a guy helping us that was our manager, kind of. Mm-hmm. And we put it all together, and the band was kind of a magical combination of musicians.
Can you tell us a little bit about your song that was in the top 100?
That was She Talks in Stereo. That was in the top 100 of the decade with K-Rock, I believe, and was also in the movie Valley Girl, which was, became a kind of a cult soundtrack.
Classic.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cult classic now.
Fucking classic.
And it was, what's his name's first movie?
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage's.
And the
Nicolas
chef
Cage.
the chef was the guy from Apocalypse Now that played the chef, and her father was like a hippie.
Oh, see,
that
you know
girl
more.
was very cute, and I always wondered what happened to her. Like,
Yeah, I wonder what happened to
that
her.
fucking girl.
Didn't she? I never saw her again.
Never saw her again. Everybody. You ever see Valley Girl?
I'm trying to think of the girl.
Now,
I don't remember.
there's
who it
one
was.
jam in there at the bar where he tells her he loves her and shit. Isn't that I'll melt the world and melt with
Yep,
you?
that's right.
It seemed like that was like, I don't know. It seemed like that song came out yesterday.
Yeah.
I know. Well, they're still using it on commercials and in films and all over the place. And I'm sure it gets tons
Now,
of
what
airplay
part
still.
What part of the movie was your song in?
I think it was some sort of, if I remember right, it was
got
some
it at
sort
home,
of
dog.
swimming pool thing.
I got it at home. I'm
It was-
excited.
I have two. I have two
excited
songs in
now.
it. Randy just reminded me. I have two songs in that soundtrack. One's called "Time to Win," which was from a later album. But She Talks in Stereo, I think, was in some swimming pool. There were some bikinis involved. That's all I
I'm
remember.
gonna go home and watch it. You're killing me. I'm canceling my 1 o'clock.
So after.
Oh, there's a masturbation scene, right? There's a masturbation scene. That's what it is. Was that right?
Yeah.
Somebody's masturbating to my. After my song, that's right. Okay.
For those of you that aren't here, Gary brought his friend Randy here, and Randy was like doing a hand movement like he was masturbating.
Sort of wanky.
And I was like, "What the fuck?" And Gary's like,
and I went, "Oh yeah." See, but I knew, thank God. See, because Felicia's
all
looking
like,
over there. Go, what
this
the
guy
hell
is
is
a
he doing?
freak.
Why is Gary? Why is that?
When you
That's
watch
not
that-
good.
he was
when
probably
you-
a bragger.
That doesn't
braggart.
look good. Oh yeah, bragging. That's it. That could have been that.
That movie, when you watch it and then you move to Hollywood, you go, I get it, but they're fucking lying. It's not that close to there.
Yeah.
Like, that bar's not fucking 5 minutes. That's bullshit. It's like when in Lethal Weapon, when Mel Gibson runs from La Brea to the 101. It's like he runs 10 steps and he hits the 101. That motherfucker. It's like half a mile. Don't lie to motherfuckers. You got to run up the hill and jump a fence.
But it's kind of accurate, really, that movie. The way L.A. was at that time.
Yes, it is. Yes,
And people were having a blast.
fucking blast.
People were having a blast in Los Angeles. If you wonder what the 80s was like in Los Angeles, it was a tremendous amount of fun.
Listen, let me tell you something, Gary. If you really get down to it, the late 70s and the 80s in this country as a whole were tremendous, because what was going on in Austin? What was going on in Dallas? Jesus Christ. Mick Jagger was at Studio 54 hanging out at night, every night getting his dick sucked by a different woman with Led Zeppelin and the Beatles. What was going on in this country? There was a resurgence of people going out. Please, you come by here. I'm going to drop a book off for you that I got as a gift that I cried throughout the whole. And it's the story of New York and music in the 70s. How you could go see Hector Lavoe in the Bronx, and you'd go see Joe Perry from Aerosmith with 3 guys in a bar in the West Village.
Yeah.
That's what was going on. It wasn't about Ticketmaster. And
No.
it wasn't about and there was no tweeting.
And people were coming out.
coming out.
There was lines
Coming
around
out.
the block.
Oh my God! I went to see Prince, Nucleus, Jam on It.
Yeah.
Jam on It, and Sheila E. for $15 on a
Oh, yeah.
Tuesday night. They announced it at 5. That's when there was no plans. It wasn't no Jimmy Buffett concert, cocksucker. We're going now. What are you doing right now? No, get the car. Let's go get a Quaalude. Call the man. Let's get a gram of blown. Let's get this party fucking
That's
started.
true.
People went out. Now people have to think about everything. They have to get tweeted. And it was
They
going
have
on.
to get tweeted.
Denver, yeah, you gotta get tweeted. There was some music scene in Denver. I mean, look at the 80s. A band came out of fucking everywhere. Aerosmith in Boston. I mean, it was just music. And now, fucking, they closed Virgin Records
Oh, I know.
on Sunset.
Oh, they did.
Or whatever the fuck it was. I
Tower.
don't know, I'm sorry. Tower.
Tower.
Oh,
Virgin.
Tower.
Oh,
Both of them. I think they closed fucking both of them.
Yeah, it's
they
very
closed
sad.
the one past La Cienega and the one by whatever.
Wow.
This is what. This is
No,
what,
when Tower closed, that was
you
a
had to
sad
cry.
thing.
As a
Yeah,
music
everybody
fan,
freaked out.
You had to cry. You and I were talking about album covers and
Oh, yeah.
the excitement. I was a young man. I never remembered that, but they said in the 50s and 60s, when a car was sold in a dealer, they'd put a fucking sheet over it for 2 weeks, and you would walk past the thing and go, I can't wait for that car to come out. Now, I remember sitting at the record store ripping album when fucking Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 wasn't Sunset backed up for fucking a day. It started at midnight at Tower Records.
Oh, yeah.
And now I can't buy a fucking CD. I can't buy a cassette. Yeah, some cities, Austin, Knoxville, San Francisco, they have a tremendous vinyl collection. Amoeba's bringing it back.
It also has a
for
great
some diehards.
Well, of course, Amoeba's
Dallas.
amazing.
In Dallas, they closed the place in fucking Addison.
Really?
The reason why I would book the week in Addison, I was getting $600 a week for 6 shows as a feature act and come home with $100. I would go down there and buy vinyl and fucking CDs. That's the reason. When I would go to Dallas,
So
and
you're
Houston,
a vinyl man.
why are we fucking around? They've destroyed the industry by trying to make it better. But it was better when it was simple. I didn't know about a fucking band. There was creativity to music.
Do you have a record player now?
Yes, I do. I'm trying to get.
Do you play records all the time?
iTunes. No, I'm trying to bring it back.
There's a brand new record player.
Oh, I hear they're making a fucking comeback
for dirt cheap.
Dirt cheap with the needle,
$100
with the backup.
$100 with a turntable, CD, cassette, brand new. It's brand new.
Fisher,
you can buy it over at Bed Bath and Beyond. Believe it or not,
I'm gonna go looking again.
it's $100, and it looks good too. It looks kind of old fashioned-y, like they did it up to where it looks groovy, and a wood. It's $100. My wife bought one. It rocks. We play records all the time. She's got a giant collection, and you start playing the records. I know you love the records. You start playing the records, and you hear the natural compression and the sound, no matter what you do. And I don't want to be just like some old guy that I only love records, because I love CDs. I love music. I just want to hear it.
I love music on YouTube. I don't give a fuck how
YouTube.
I get it.
I love
YouTube. I love it.
I'm not saying anything's better. I'm just saying it sounds really great, and you've got to listen to it. And kids are digging listening to vinyl. They love, because also it's rebellion, it's underground, it's more like, it's old technology, but it sounds better. It just does. It's got a lot of reasons it sounds better, but that's the way it is.
Listen, I love YouTube, because if I want to listen to Cowboys from Hell, Pantera, I could just click it on, even though I don't have it. If I want to listen to Joan Armatrading, I could just click on Joan Armatrading. I don't have all those right now.
Yeah.
But I also remember what it was to walk home with your new Black Sabbath album.
Oh, sure.
I know what it was to walk home and open it up and look at the cover and roll.
You got a big cover.
And you had a big cover, and you could roll your first joint. The seeds would fall.
You could use the cover.
You used the cover to roll the joint. You rolled it, and then while you were smoking, you read the thing and you passed it around the room. It was an event. Music was an event.
Photography, all the stuff was really cool.
Just sitting there arguing.
Weird artwork.
Why didn't Pink Floyd put pictures of himself in there? I want to know what this Mr. Pink Floyd looks like.
Yeah, where's Pink?
And then you realize, it's a fucking band. You know what I'm saying? They've taken that little, we had Eddie Bravo on here, and he goes, I remember what it was to walk home with a Kiss album, hiding it because I was going to get beat up. And bringing it home and reading it. And, they've taken that away. And that's why there's nothing to it. I buy a CD now. I don't know what Gary Myrick's about. I don't even know who he's thanking. I don't know if he's thanking his mother, Dallin. I don't know where he's from. I don't know where his fan club information is at.
Yeah.
If he's thanking the Sheraton hotels, I like that. He's fucking stays at the Sheraton. You know what I'm saying? You got it. You don't do that no more.
I know.
But now I got you online with a bunch of bullshit. I want to know what you put out of that album.
All of a sudden, you're in a band, you have a song that's doing well. Was that just a crazy time?
It was a crazy but great time. Very creative time. I was, I was at the age where I was in my late 20s, and I was really gung ho. I mean, that was really why I came here. To see if I could, make records. I wanted to start making records. I'd already played live 1,000,000 times and been a billion gigs in Texas and Austin, Dallas, and guns are going off and all this stuff, and so now I need to make some records. Let's see if I can, get in the big game, and it's kind of fun. And so, yes, I was having a great time, but I was also trying to be really creative, and writing a lot of music at the time for the band to play. So I wrote the whole set, and then I also when we were playing, record companies were talking to us about signing us, which is not really something that happens anymore either. And that was kind of an exciting. I actually told my record company, which was Epic Records, which is CBS Sony now. Epic Records. I told them that I didn't think I was ready to be signed. That I had more work to do before we made a record, and they lost their fucking minds. Because I mean, you don't say you don't want money or something. They're going, well, wait, we want to sign you. And I go, well, I'm not quite ready. I'm almost ready. And they were going, what? You mean you don't want to be signed right now? You know what I mean? And I turned it around on them, but I wasn't trying to turn it around. I was just saying what I really meant. I said, I'll be ready soon, and we'll figure this out. You guys, you and the lawyers talk, and I'm working on my music, so I'll be ready soon. But no, we don't have to do it right now.
So then what happened? Did they go away? Did you fuck up?
They didn't go away. No, I did not fuck up. And I meant it.
Yeah.
And then I was ready soon after, and I signed a deal with. Well, I had a couple of record companies that wanted to do something, and so we signed. Had a great time. Made the first record. In my first record with She Talks in Stereo on it, I had to do something really wild on that, because it was the old school guard and the new school guard was kind of doing some changing around on radio, on older record producers were not quite getting it, the new thing that was going on with punk and new wave, and I was kind of in that situation. My first record, and I love my producer, and he did a great job. I was co-producing it with even though I'd never made an album yet, but I knew how to do it. And when I went in the studio, we started recording, and I thought, this isn't right. Something's not right. We don't have the energy that is right for what's going on. And one night I came in after we had started. Oh, so you got the big corporation, CBS, Epic Records. So, you want to make everybody happy. It's your first record, but it's got to be good. You can't do your first record. You can't just kind of come out half-ass. You want it. It's got to be real. It's got to be the real thing that you want it to be. And so it wasn't turning out that way. We were cutting basic tracks on that first record. And then I went in one night and I said, okay, that's it. We're erasing the master tapes right now. Erase them. And I had this guy that was working there that later actually became a really big producer. He was so great. His name was Chad Blake. And we had a great time. And he just went, all right, fuck it. Yeah, right on. And then the next day, everybody thought I was insane. And I said, we're just starting over, that's all. We're just starting over. And then we started recording again in a little different approach. We were in this gigantic room where the Rolling Stones had cut Satisfaction, which was over on Sunset Boulevard. Big rooms. Elvis had been in there. These big old recording studios that were massive rooms where they have, a orchestra could come in there.
Not Capitol.
No, it wasn't Capitol.
Yeah.
It was, I think it's the old EMI buildings or something. Anyhow, I can't remember exactly. But it was a fantastic, historic spot. And we started cutting really live, got the drums sounding right, everything's baffled. Then we got the sound. And that's the sound on that first record that the fans really liked, because it was real. It was the way we were supposed to sound. So I had to, be kind of rebellious on certain levels to make things happen for that record. But I was having a good time.
And then at what point did you start? You did an album with John Waite, right?
That was later. I'd made three albums and had some successes with the third record. Had a Guitar Talk Love and Drums and a song called Message Is You, which did pretty well at the time. And then my manager hooked me up with John Waite, and we had some good energy together and decided to make a record together under a band name. It was going to be called, we didn't have a band name, but we were going to call it a band name. And so I made the whole record. I wrote half the album, played all the guitars, sang background, did all the thing. And we were still going to call it, you know, JoJo the Clown or something. I don't know what we were going to call it, but we didn't have a name. So we finished the record, and then I had an offer to do another record from another record company, and I wanted to do another solo record. They didn't want me to. They wanted me to stay. So I gave the record to John. So that record, and that was the stupidest thing I ever did in my life, because we ended up having a #1 song called Missing You on that album.
84.
But I had points on the record, so I was still going to get paid. And so I actually gave it him. I said, you can just make it a solo record. I don't know what I was thinking. You know, I was just trying to be nice, really, because I had a solo record to do. But really, it should have stayed the band name, because that's what we did. I mean, we did it together, and it wasn't a solo record. But he's lived his whole career off of that alleged solo record.
What was the band he was in, the Dolls?
It's funny.
The Babies.
The
Babies.
I'm sorry.
And I told John one time, I said, that is the wimpiest fucking name.
Yeah.
What do you want to be, a baby? What are you, nuts? No, it's not tough, man. You need a tough name. It's got to be rocking. Babies, come on.
I love the Babies.
You do, as a name?
Yeah, I loved them, yeah.
No, you loved them, but let's think about it. The
No,
Babies.
I thought it was cute. Like, all right, that's weird, but all right.
All right, well, see, I guess maybe girls liked it. Maybe that was it.
Maybe that was it.
And dudes were just going, babies. No,
Yeah.
I don't want to be a baby.
I've actually seen a video of you and him on. You guys did quite a lot of TV things, right?
We did
performances, right?
We did Solid Gold and some of that stuff. We did Solid Gold with Glenn Campbell. Wow, that was wild. Yeah.
Your parents must have been proud that day.
Oh, they loved that
Glenn
kind of stuff.
Campbell, oh my God.
Oh yeah, Gary's on TV with Glenn Campbell.
TV with Glenn Campbell.
Oh, he's a good
Mama,
man.
get the shotgun.
That's right.
Mama, I love all that.
Oh, they
stuff.
love all that.
I love it.
Oh, the family loves the radio and TV. You know.
Love it. Yeah, they do. That's it.
That's understandable.
Please,
I get it.
That's what it's
So
about.
are you ever in a grocery store and you hear that song, you're like, "Arr!"
No, because I'm getting paid.
Oh, okay, great.
As long as
great.
I'm getting paid, I can't go. Arr.
Yeah.
No reason to.
Yeah.
You know, so it's. I mean, I didn't write "Missing You," but I wrote, half that album. And every time "Missing You" is on a compilation, I get paid because I get points from the masters from the record. So I play all the guitar and sang in the background. So there you go. I get paid. So I feel okay about it. And it was my doing anyway. I was just trying to be a nice guy and give him the record. So, but in retrospect, who knew you were going to get a #1 song? You don't know. Nobody knows that they're getting ready to have a #1 song. Nobody. It's just the luck of the draw and the accident of creation. Who knew? So when we haven't had a #1 hit, we went, whoa, and got nominated for a Grammy, and it was cool.
Yeah. So for those of you who have been listening for the past couple of weeks, we have a sponsor this month, www.ballcancersucks.com. And when Joey brought the sponsor, I said to Joey, we should have Gary Myrick on because you recently had ball cancer, and it sucked.
Well, I had prostate cancer.
Right.
Yeah. And somehow the balls were not involved in my mind.
Okay.
I didn't. I thought that they were safe, in their own world, and I totally freaked out. I want to tell everybody out in the audience that it's just a blood test. All it is a blood test. Next time you go to the doctor, you got to get a blood test. Check that what is it? The PSA? Yeah, the PSA levels. That's all it is, and then you can find out if you're okay or not, and or if you need to check further. So anyhow, somebody told me I was in Texas. I saw my brother. He's a doctor, and he said, your PSA is high. You need to go to a what do they call them? I forgot the type of doctor.
Urologist?
Urologist, thank you. Went to the urologist. Never been to a urologist in my life. He said, yeah, it's pretty high. They had to do, they have to check it out. They have to do a biopsy. That's not fun, but it's not the end of the world. It's no big deal. I was tough. I said, okay, let's do it. And then they didn't find anything. They said, no cancer. Seems fine. And I went, oh, okay, see you later. And then I was supposed to check with them in 6 months. They said, we got to keep an eye on it, even though you had nothing, because your PSA is high. Okay. And I went, okay, all right, fine. So I didn't come back right away. I kind of blew it off a little bit, and that was probably stupid. And then a friend of mine got it bad and had some real problems, and it freaked me out, and I went back, and then they discovered prostate cancer on the prostate. They thought it was just partially there, and they thought I was going to be okay. And if you get it early, you're fine. Even if you get it mid, you're fine, pretty much. But there's a few things that you have to do, and every guy on the planet most likely will have to confront this at some time in their lifetime. And it's a lot less of a big deal than it used to be. And I had some one-day surgery with I had robotic surgery, and it was intellectually incredible because it was one day, and they go in with little tiny thin tools from a robot's hands, and the doctor's got joysticks. He's looking at a screen, and he can magnify. He has lights, camera, everything's going on inside your body on little tiny 5 little things that go in. It's amazing. It's so cool on a medical level. Now, no one wants to get operated on, and I sure didn't want to be, but if I'm going to do it, this looks really modern. Okay, so they put these things in me, and I'm out. And, oh, by the way, they're reeling me in. I have to tell you this. I'm in Austin, Texas for the surgery. They're reeling me in. And I see the doctor, who was very cool. His name's Dr. Fagan down there. Totally hip, young guy, totally modern. Got it. Completely got it. Great bedside manner, everything. He pulls me in there, and I hear Missing You go, ba, 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 doom, doom, da, doom, ba, ba. He was giving me a good thumbs up as I was getting ready to go under. And then I was out. So he played Missing You for me. I thought that was very sweet. I really appreciated that. And then I'm out. I wake up. It's done. The surefire way is to take the prostate out. Basically, you don't need your prostate. Not really. And when they're operating with these kind of detailed robotic surgery, they can save all the nerves and all that kind of stuff, then you can still get it up. Everything works fine, but you can't have a child after that. But if you really wanted to have a child, you still have sperm in there, and you could go in and get it. You could. Oh, no. It's still in there. But you're not going to be... it's not going to be, I'm sorry, I'm just telling you what the deal is.
No, it's just I was thinking about my kids this morning because they, when the toothpaste comes at the end and then you got to roll it up.
Well, it's probably very similar. But anyhow, so there's some things, but everything works fine. And if you really wanted to have a child, you could, if you wanted to go there. So anyhow, it's not the end of the world, and there's ways to get it happening. But you gotta check on yourself. That's all. Blood test.
Did you have to do any kind of chemo or radiation?
No chemo, no radiation.
Oh, wow.
They took it out.
Wow.
They looked at it. No chemo. I was walking around, in 3 weeks. I had to just kind of recover a bit. The worst part of it, I'm not even going to tell you the worst part of it. It's too sickening.
Well, we do have time.
Well, all right. I'll tell you real quick. The worst thing is afterwards you got to wear a catheter. I don't want to ever fucking wear a catheter again in my lifetime. That's no fun. And you got to change your catheter. Oh man, it's not pretty. It's no fun. So that's the only thing. That's the worst part of the surgery. I was out of the hospital in one day.
Wow.
One day. Robotic surgery. It's now and it's the future on everything. Not just this.
How long were you scared for, and how long did you finally say fuck it? Because we're all scared for a couple of days, and then comes a point you go,
I was freaking.
What am I gonna
I was
do?
totally freaked out. If somebody says, "Oh, by the way, Joey, you got cancer, prostate cancer," you don't know what the fuck that means. You just know that's cancer, right? You just get the C word, so you go hama. I don't know where I'm going now. I didn't know. I just didn't know. Then I started getting educated, and thank God my brother could tell me on the phone. He goes, "Look, this is the deal. I've talked to my urologist. You need to go see a urologist in L.A., and we're going to do this, and this is what you should do. Don't freak out. Don't go nuts." And then, of course, you're still freaking out. So I freaked out for a while, and then I think I freaked out all through the surgery a little bit, and then a week after the surgery, they know if it had spread or not inside your body. And so you want to know. You're on pins and needles, and you're freaked, because if they said something bad, you don't want to hear it. And so anyhow, they said it has not spread. So check every 6 months for a few years. And I'd heard only good reports of people that had this done. I'd never heard a bad scenario. So once you do it and you get it done, there's a million guys doing it all the time. They got to do it, and it's going to happen. It happens.
And again, to check is just a blood test.
It's nothing.
My fucking nemesis.
The blood test.
The blood test. You don't want to go.
Oh, I fucking shit my brains every time.
You think they're going to see? You think you're going to find something, right?
That's part of it. The other half is just a needle. I can't deal with it.
Oh, well, you can do it. Just look the other way,
you know
Joey.
What? I gotta be honest with you, it has gotten easier. The needle, all the pains. I just had surgery on my knee, and when I got back from Florida, I thought I had a blood clot. And I went up there, and a little Filipino woman came. She's like, "We gotta take 5 tubes out." I thought it was the fucking end of the world. I didn't even feel it. She took it out.
Needles don't bother me.
It took me 5 minutes. I drank a soda, and I was back.
Good.
But you always think about things. Like I can't.
How's the prostate?
They just checked it last year.
Yeah.
I go every and then when I did the surgery, they tested it. Obviously, the pre-surgery examination, and everything.
Everything's good.
Yeah. Everything's
Cool.
good,
Rock
man.
on.
And like I said, any day after 40, when you're a man, when you've lived a full life, at 40, like I was prepared to die at 37. I'm like, if I live past this shit, I'll be excited.
Yeah.
But now I watch everything.
Yeah, of course.
You have to drink the water. You gotta.
Yeah.
You gotta do everything.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Gary, because I actually know you because you also teach music. And,
I do.
And I was just thinking what's really interesting about you, if anyone would meet Gary, you would know that you really live the lifestyle.
Totally.
You totally, like, when you're walking around, you're like, that's a musician. But you totally embrace it, and you are still working on projects. What do you have up on deck now?
Well, I just finished a completely live in the studio DVD of some of my past songs and some new material, but done in kind of I kind of did a completely electric solo thing, and I'm having a really good time with it. Turned out to be something I'm really proud of. And but it was all recorded with 5 cameras inside a recording studio. where I'm performing the songs live, and I'm real happy about it. And that's going to come out in about a month and a half or two.
And when it comes out, where can people get that?
You can find anything at GaryMyrick.com.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Gary, for coming on and sharing your story of the music business, because I find it interesting, the history of it, you know what I mean? Like when you guys were talking about Austin and all that, it's interesting to people, to hear the intricacies.
And believe me, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, I know. We could go on. But also this segment
Joey knows.
Joey does
know.
know.
Joey
Joey's
knows.
really into music.
Yeah, he's looking at me going, uh-huh.
Well, you teach music right now. the thing I want to do the most before I punch the ticket, like everybody's talking about bucket list, is to learn to play the guitar.
Well, come on, man.
Here's the problem, Gary Myrick. In my situation, how much I love music.
Yeah.
After a certain age, you get to know yourself, what your strengths and weaknesses are.
Yeah.
I would get retangled up at this part of my life in the fucking guitar, and I can't do that.
What do you mean you get retangled?
I have what is that shit? A personality, abusive. Like if you give me blow, I'll do it till
Addictive.
You'll do too. Addictive
I
personality.
have an addictive personality.
So you'll practice your guitar every day?
I would
like
practice
crazy
it till the fingers fell off.
Oh,
My
okay.
dream would be to sound like David Gilmour. My dream would be to sound like the guitar player that fucking David Bowie had on Fame. That's my real dream. I just knew when I was a criminal that it would take too much dedication. I thought I'd have to pull on the guitar every other week, and when you live the life in the street, you think that, what happens if I have to give away my guitar for 2 weeks because I can't make the life.
Yeah, but you're not there now.
No, but it's just, I'm going to be 50 next year, and I couldn't see being that infatuated.
You're a baby.
It scares
You're just
the
a kid.
shit out of me to have to get up because I know, Felicia, you know what a joke is like.
Yeah,
you know what a joke gets
yeah.
into you. You know when you're writing a lyric to a song, what it gets into your head.
Oh, yeah.
And now at 5 a.m, you get up to pee, and while you're looking at the Q-tips that your wife didn't put in the container, you think of a fucking word to that song.
Yeah, sure.
And now what do you have to do? You have to get up, and on top of doing everything else in your life, comedy, podcast, going on the road, writing. I couldn't see myself right now picking up a guitar. It would be
all right.
too damaging. It would just...
Well, you'd have to, if you did that, you would just have to,
learn
chill a little.
It'd have
chill
to be
a little
relaxing
bit.
for you. Instead of watching movies, that's just what you went to.
No, I
relax.
don't watch movies, but I know it. Like when I got Dimmy as a cat, I was hooked on blow, and I couldn't wait to get a package and go home. When I got Dimmy was so much fun. But I forgot about the coke. I couldn't wait to get home and play with Dimmy, this cat. I get a new notebook paper, and he'd go through it, and I'd play like Matador with him. But I was infatuated with that kitten just playing with me. Yeah. I'm the same. I would go crazy with a guitar. I can't wait to get the fuck off the stage now to get home. Could you imagine if while I was on the plane, I just figured out the chord to UFO, Too Hot to Handle? It would kill me. By the time I get home,
you'd want to play.
One part of me.
There's little tiny guitars you can take on the road. Tiny
ukulele?
Oh yeah, they're small.
No, they're cool.
They're really
and
cool.
you can play and practice.
I know that I could go to Guitar Center and get the starter kit for $195 with the little big
No.
nose.
I'm not embarrassing you with that kind of stuff. But there's some good practice guitars. Martin makes a great practice guitar acoustic to take on the road that's tiny. So there's ways where there's a will, there's a way.
That would really make the road a lot easier if I could get in my hotel room and just practice in the beginning.
Well, that's how I got
Turn on
into
the TV,
photography.
down a little bit, and practice your
Joey,
guitar.
that's how I got into photography during the day because you're working at night.
That's
you
a
have
great
fucking
idea.
all this time to kill, so I started bringing a camera, and that's how I started doing a little photography. You got to do something like that when you go on the road.
I am so scared. Like for years, I went to Guitar Center and just walked around, and if people know me, I would look at the instruments and sperm would come out of every orifice. If you know me, I don't even know what the fuck the instrument is. I could give a fuck. When I'd see a brand new pair of drums or a guitar, a flying V, anything, I had to stop going to the Guitar Center in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Like I was getting like that annoying woman at the fucking, like that. I would just walk around there. I am in awe of music. To me, music is up there. To me, music. You don't need to know the language. I mean, when we listen to Bjork, whatever that crazy bitch's music, we don't know what the fuck she's saying, but we know. But we fucking know. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what the fuck she's saying.
Oh, yeah.
But you fucking know that bitch is mad about something. You feel
Yeah.
it. You know, you feel her music is universal, man. When you hear,
Yeah.
you know, when Lennon and those guys went to India and started playing with the Hindus and people were freaking out, you know what the fuck it is.
That's right.
It's a beautiful thing. That's why it scares me. So I'm sorry to cut into your
Well,
fucking thing.
no, but
You
you know,
looking at Felicia.
if you can make somebody laugh, it's as big as a song. It's as big as a song.
No, but the difference is everybody just wants to hear a joke once. Everyone wants to hear a song 23,000 fucking
You know,
times.
I write bits. You try to write bits. And what brings it in perspective for me is when I sit there and go, what made Myrick write this fucking song? Because if you think a joke is hard, to me, this is my eyes, and you're sitting there going, Joey, you're a fucking idiot. You have no idea how easy it is to write a song. I'm thinking in the back of my mind, wait a second, first you got to write the lyrics. And yeah, you can write lyrics, but to write Black Hole Sun, to write something strong, that's what I want to write. That's number one.
Yeah.
Now I got the words. Now I got to start with the fucking music. Or I don't know, do you do it backwards? I mean, that's the shit
You
that's
can do
always
it.
fucked me up.
You can do it a bunch of ways. You can do it. Start with the music. You can start with a lyric, a title. Sometimes when you have a title, you start with an idea. So it's not even music. Then you make the music sound like what it's talking about. So that, you know, or you make it have, you know, you write something that feels like that. So that's one way, but most people start with a riff or a guitar, pair of chords, or they start playing around with it. You know, when you write a song, there's some different ways to start.
It's very interesting. When I'm sitting here with you, I think of what you said before about being a good old boy, but you didn't want to listen to that no more. And I think of a band right away like Pantera. They're from Dallas. They're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And their music reflects nothing to do with the South.
No, yeah.
It's just fucking,
Right.
you know, go kill somebody and the devil. And I like it, but I respect it because they didn't go, and I respect you because of saying that. Now I understand what that whole thing is like, that you don't have to write music reflecting what everybody else is doing. You took John Waite, I'm looking at you. It's brilliant, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming
Thank
by,
you very
Gary.
It's my pleasure
I
to
want
be
to have
here.
you back for sure.
Anytime.
You're going to be in the music. We're going to put you in the music slot for a couple fucking slots there.
Let's do it anytime.
There's more to this fucking story.
If you've liked the conversation today, please go to, I'm just getting down to business. Please go to iTunes and leave a nice, sweet little comment in the comment section. We would like that because it drives our numbers up. Or if you're thinking about buying anything on Amazon lately, just do us a favor. Go to beautyandthebeast.com. There's a little Amazon placard. Click on that. It'll take you right to Amazon. That's just so they'll have an accounting that you actually heard about Amazon from Beauty and the Beast, which sounds ridiculous when I say it, but there you go. Joey?
Oh, for a word from our sponsors, you heard the man. Go to ballcancer.com. What is it again?
Ballcancersucks.com.
You heard the man. Go to ballcancersuck.com. Get your nuts checked out. Get your muffler checked out. It's just a fucking blood test. Go over to the .com page and order a T-shirt. Help them out. Get the word out there. Also, how about a big shout out to taintedvisionart.com. Also to my boys over at NoHo Organic with their fucking Eureka pen blowing my mind. I'm doing bong hits everywhere now. Church, Ralph's, the gas station. Be free. Free your fucking mind. You know what I'm saying? And that's it, Felicia. Where are you at next, my little love biscuit?
I'm going to be at the Improv on May 26th with Gene Pompa.
How did it go the other night at the
Oh,
Improv?
it went really good.
And
yeah.
you fucked me up that night because there was a Laker game that night. There
Yes,
was a basketball game that night. I'm
yeah.
like, poor Felicia.
No, it was actually
And
good.
you had
It was
people,
yeah, there was people there.
People
it was
get out of
actually
the house
good,
to go see Felicia, especially if you see her with the skirt today. She's going to rub a little SPF number 2 on the legs to really put it all in proportion.
What's
Get that-
SPF number 2?
You know, the shit that fucking Puerto Ricans
Sunblock.
wear to stay Puerto Rican. You follow me? Keeps you dark. You follow me? Keeps you dark.
Wow. Sounds
And
great.
I want to thank the people of Cleveland, Columbus, and Pittsburgh last weekend for making me feel like a fucking savage.
And what do you have this weekend?
This weekend I have the motherfucking Irvine Improv Thursday night at 8 o'clock. And next week I'm back at the Ice House, May 30th at the Ice House. And I also picked up June 23rd in Buffalo, New York.
Nice.
So I'll see you cocksuckers up there with some wings and all that shit. That's it. Gary, thank you. Thank you, brother. Felicia, you look beautiful. Have a great weekend,
You
everybody
too.
out
You
there.
too.
Love you. Mwah. Throw a kiss, Gary Myrick. There you go.